Honourable members, Minister for Trade, International Trade and Investment will lead us in prayer.
Our praying God to come before you as servant leaders of this great nation, but before you knowing full well that we take what from your hand. Before we start and the opportunity to come to Parliament today. We acknowledge first and foremost that we are all sinners. Please forgive each of us, cleanse us with the blood of Jesus, and accept us into your care and keeping today. Father, we thank you for our great nation. We thank you for our people. We thank you for the weight of responsibility that you have placed on each of us. Father, as we start today, I want to uphold our good Deputy Speaker, our Prime Minister, members of Cabinet, governors and members of Parliament, the Opposition Leader, his Deputy, and members of the Opposition. Father, we acknowledge that all knowledge and wisdom comes from you. So we pray that you will shower us with wisdom, knowledge from heaven this morning as we begin this session today. We pray that above all, the discussions we do and make will be in the and you will help each of us
at all times. Because time broken the regional balance, passing below one talk system but come inside. My question to the Minister, can you tell this House as to what, number one, what process you be using? Was it an online selection for us to get new recruits into the Defence Force, which is in charge of national sovereignty and security of our borders? So what was the process? You may deploy, accept him, or new play intake, or come inside, number one. Was it an online process? Was it a manual process? If it was an online process, who was in charge of the online process? Because there claims to be discrepancies in the way and a disproportionate number of individuals are claimed to be in one particular or two particular regions, which is very dangerous for national security and long-term stability. So number one process you may deploy him. Now if I'm manual, who said go past the manual? If I'm online, who said review this online process? Number two, criteria you may use him, plenty of clear some criteria, or young months ago. Or young man don't know at Kela. Na you know papa and you know married. Also come up a defense officer and go inside. But you play video you may look him, Mr. Minister, truly you chair. Plenty papa go inside now. All married penis. Now all reverse him birth certificate. Somehow all reverse him now come up go inside. So how did that happen? How did that happen? And can you assure this House, if that has happened, are we going to stop the process to review? Or by Milarimem go through? Number three, question below me. You make at all partner stop. Kind of you may sign him agreement on the Australia penis. Now you may sign him on the US defense penis. Now at some instance, I think this House generally agreed that, and the former police minister was the works minister, agreed that recruitment for CIS, police and the defense would be outsourced to development partners so that time is up, Minister of Law, police, Minogan Putimogara, Finsafen Gunselo police. There must be fair regional balance. Number 5 question. Can you, Minister, assure this House that you will table the list that has been accepted to the intake for next year? Because number one, you blow a member, you blow stop liya. Or angel no makim you bla. Man na miri makim you bla. Lo kam sinon liya. Na yumi time yumi go next year election. You ba senap and you'll be a victim or a recipient of a government institution that will try to run a process to bring you back here. So it's a general concern where some people are elected leaders to Muscat. So can you bring to this House list of names of recipients of people you may accepting penis who are intake now listed for intake, and where they come from, their province, their district, their correct age, na face photos, so you may get looking face na looking. Kind of some now rugby league, some months are forever 25 law, CV blow. So you may get look savvy. Who said them true young man go inside? Now who said them man where photoshopping face blame. Go inside of some Brad Pitt that go inside the defense force. So this list, Minister, can you assure us that you will table in this honorable House as soon as you can a list so that we can be assured that the process has been transparent, has been clear, and the integrity of the process is protected at all times, because allowing that to happen, and if we fail, Mr. Speaker, next year in Parliament, and these people, if all, if they are not qualified, if they don't meet the age limit, if they don't have the physical, tributes for it, now want to put them will go. They will not be loyal to the independent state of Papua New Guinea. They'll be loyal to whoever put them in. So that loyalty will be questioned at all time when they discharge their national functions.
Honorable Governor, I understand that you took almost about 7 or 8 minutes on your question, so I know you have already asked the question, so if the question is already been asked, can you allow for the Minister to...
Thank you. Last one. Can you assure us, as I said in my last question, can you assure that you will bring a list for our benefit so the people of Finchafen, the people of Makam can be comfortable that we have selected national defense force people and not from, these so-called discrepancies that exist now. So thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Minister for Defence.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I'd like to thank the good governor from Morobe for raising a very important question. And I do agree with him that that question is of very important matter to our country, especially in light of video that we have seen floating around. And but before I answer those questions, I'd like to join the other fellow colleague leaders in this House to congratulate the member for Day and the governor for New Ireland for being elected to the House, as well as the member for Karawaki Gembok, Akundiawa Gembok. I beg your pardon. All right, firstly, on the process, on what process was being deployed to do the recruitment. If you have seen or heard, there has been about 2 years lapse in PNGDF recruitment. It's never happened. But we put those process back. There has been many complaints in the community, as well as within defense, on the questioning of the recruitment process that had been existed in defense. So we did put up the online recruitment platform, and we have launched it. It was a public display for anyone in the country who is interested to join defense to apply online. So the first process that was employed is an online recruitment process in which an independent HR firm was engaged to do this thing. So that whole process is removed from myself as minister, or the secretary, or the CDF, or even the Defense Council, or anybody for that matter. And then the criteria comes in which you look at the age criteria, height criteria, and all that different criteria that are being employed. And once that online selection happened, that list has been put out in the media, in social media, and it was a transparent process. And once that has happened, the shortlisted group were interviewed physically, and then they went through a series of tests, including psych tests, medical tests, etc., until the final list of, I think, 300 was made, and they were sent to Golden River Training Depot. And we have received sort of consents from all leaders in the House, in the government caucus, that there should be a quota for each province. And we have done that. But the majority of the applicants came from NCDC, so as you may, and NCDC and Lay. And as you may imagine and appreciate that NCDC and Lay are metropolitan cities. And so there are citizens from every part of the province in NCDC and Lay. And so, but as much as possible, we want to give a quota to every province so that, like he rightfully said, Mr. Deputy Speaker, PNGDF is a national institution. It should not have one province or one region dominating the defense force. And so that efforts have been put in place, and I can assure the House and the good governor for Morobe that that process has been employed and there has been allocated. There are some provinces that don't apply, so we can't force them to apply. But to remedy that, we have put in budget and plans in the next recruitment cycle to send our recruitment team to all the provinces, especially the provincial centers, and to be there to give at least 22 or to 25 quota for every province. So I urge all the leaders to make sure that the young people who want to join PNGDF, we support them to come to the men's centers once the next training cycle happens, which would be around July, August. I think I've mentioned or answered a question on the outsourcing of the recruitment. To table the list will be made clear and public on how many people were recruited and where they are from. So that's not a big issue. And like I said, because we have not gone to all the provinces and recruited directly from the province, there will be some mismatch, and there are some provinces like, I think, Western Province and Gulf, Manus, they have not so much interest, but we will try our best to make sure that there is an equal quota for each province in the next recruitment cycle, and those will be made public as we have done in this recruitment cycle. On the video that's floating around and concerns that some of those who went down to the Goldie River training depot are old, I'd like to make it very clear in this House that that person that is on the video is a third-year UPNG student. He's not an old man, so sometimes we judge too quickly. They said don't judge a book by its cover. He's not an old man. He's not 50 years old. He's not 45 years old. He's just a 24-year-old third-year UPNG student. And so when we bring this kind of information in respectable houses like that, we need to verify those kind of information and not based on rumors and hearsays. And there's a lot of online bullying going on, and I'm very concerned about this. And I have asked the CDF to investigate the recruitment officers at Goldie River Training Depot who have unprofessionally. There's a lot of vulgar swear words in that video that the governor is referring to, and I don't know if that's normal, and I've asked the CDF if that's normal or not, and he said the frog march is normal, but the swear is not. And so those are being investigated. I want to reassure the Deputy Governor, Deputy Speaker, and that is unacceptable in our Defence Force. We don't want to see that. And uploading such a video is also unprofessional conduct and is being investigated. I'd like to, Deputy Speaker, ask the good governor to put all those questions in writing and give it to me so I can answer them properly. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Honourable Member for Madang.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, and the opportunity for me to ask my question that I'd like to ask on Tuesday. My question, Deputy Speaker, is directed to the Prime Minister, and it's in relation to the government's policy on the special economic. Now, given that these matters go beyond the sort of limited grasp that the Minister for International Trade and Investments has shown when questioned by my fellow colleagues, and given that they raise wider and more serious national importance of questions of law, governance, public finance, investment policy and fairness, I believe my questions are more properly directed to the Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, after reviewing the Special Economic Zone that established the SEZ Authority, and after reviewing its website and its recently launched Special Economic Zone Foundation Policy of 2015 to 2032, I accept that in principle the government says that it wants more investment, more growth, more exports and more jobs. That sounds attractive, but the real question is this. Does this framework actually achieve these objectives? Or does it instead expose Papua New Guinea to greater legal uncertainty, fiscal risk, governance failure, policy confusion, and reputational damage in the eyes of serious investors? Mr. Speaker, we have heard this story before. The PIMZ in Madang promoted then by the Somare government in 2004 was sold as a transformational project. In 2019, the O'Neill government secured $95 million US or 430 million concessional loan for the China Exim Bank. Was taken in phase 1 for a 20-year loan and the 2% interest. In simple terms, the previous governments promised big, borrowed big, and delivered nothing of lasting economic value. What do we have to show for it? A grand PMZ entrance gate, a gravel road slowly being reclaimed by vegetation and birds enjoying vacant blocks on kunai grass and coconut trees. That experience as alone has shown or has taught this government that SEZs do not succeed merely because they are announced in law or dressed up in policy. Minister has now rebranded the entire failed policy of PMIZ and the super SEZ structure. PNG's own experience and research from around the globe has shown that SEZs only succeed where it is clear law.
We have a point of order. Minister for Culture and Tourism.
Mr. Speaker, Prime Minister has given every minister a responsibility as minister for each of the portfolios they own. that question should be directed to the minister responsible, as he is fully versed with the SEZ policies in the country. Thank you.
Honorable Minister for Culture and Tourism, your point of order is in order, but the chair have made this clear earlier that it is up to the individual members who choose to ask, and if he wants to ask to the Prime Minister, who is the chairman of the NEC, and if it at the discretion of every member to ask that question. So the honorable member, I think he had made it clear that he wished to ask that to the Prime Minister in the opening of his question. So I'll allow him to continue to receive that. But what you have said, it's a matter to all members. There's ministers responsible for are responsible on duties. Please ask the minister so they can give you the questions they have. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. So yet the current framework raises serious concerns. First, the policy pushes SEZ Authority well beyond the role of the normal regulator. It contemplates that SEZ Authority becomes self-funding, commercially active, and even investing through a subsidiary on the official state nominee as in SEZ projects. That means that the same body could regulate, approve, invest in, and financially benefit from the very projects it is supposed to independently oversee. Mr. Speaker, that is not a clean government model. That is a conflict of interest dressed up in innovation. Second, the policy itself admits that the framework is only a starting point and that is being built.
Honorable Member, Minister for International Trade.
It is normal all over the world for SEZ authorities to also set up SEZs as government-owned and government-run SEZs. Prime example, in Leh you have an SEZ there. Malahan, who owns it and who runs it? The government. That's quite common throughout the world.
Honorable Minister.
So it's not something new.
Honorable Minister, if you'd like to use the point of order to reply to the question, I will not allow for that. So allow the member for Madang make your statement short and allow for the PM.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I'm just coming to the end of my statement and to, sorry, to the questions. Okay, that raises an obvious question that if this is only a starting point, why is it being sold as a finished product? Third, the policy proposes major new legal architecture on top of the 2019 Act, including a One-Stop Shop Service Act and an SEZ Land Lease Act. So if the 2019 Act was meant to be complete national framework, why is the government now proposing new laws to patch it up, prop it up, or repair it? Fourth, the policy goes even further by proposing a 24-hour visa approvals, 24-hour company registration decisions, and even permanent residency incentives for foreign SE investors, while ordinary Papua New Guinea businesses continue to struggle with delays, red tape, and neglect.
And now?
Mr. Speaker, for foreign investors, it is a one-stop shop. For local business, it means a full obstacle course.
And now?
That is not reform. That is preferential treatment. Fifth, the framework is already showing signs of fragmentation. Manus is separately regulated under its own law, which undermines the claim that this is a one coherent national SEZ framework. Section 13 of the Act states, the authority shall appoint a certified public accountant to audit its books, and the CEO shall publish those audited books on its website. After almost 6 years, there is yet to be any published financial reports on its own website. How can an investor take serious a government authority that can't follow its own laws? Why should Parliament and this country trust it when even larger and more powerful SEZ superstructure? Mr. Speaker, there are deeper contradictions in the heart of this policy. Any serious investor first asks one basic question. How does the country treat the business it already has? How does this government treat companies that have already been here for decades, and in some cases, century, employing Papua New Guineans, paying taxes that contribute to politicians' pay, the funding of schools, hospitals, roads, and our national budget?
Honourable Member, I made it earlier that you have taken up much of the time on the question, so can you put your question?
Yes, Deputy Speaker. I'll go straight to the primary question. My primary question to the Prime Minister is, how does the Prime Minister reconcile the fact that while his Minister for International Trade and Investment is overseas courting so-called investors with promise of 15-year tax holidays, privileged treatment, and investment paradise, the loyal PNG business community and ordinary mums and dads who have invested their lives in this country are left carrying the full tax burden, poor services, regulatory delay, and ongoing cost of keeping this country going? Supplementary question, what assurance can the Prime Minister give to long-established businesses already operating in Papua New Guinea that they will not be commercially disadvantaged by massive tax exemptions, fast-tracked approvals, and special privileges being offered to newly arriving investors who have made no historic contribution to this country? Where is the fairness in that, and what message does it send to every business that have kept this country alive? Mr. Speaker, why is the government rolling out the red carpet abroad while pulling the rug out from under the businesses at home? Mr. Speaker, the more one looks at the SEZ policy, the less it resembles a serious investment framework, and the more it resembles a glossy brochure trying to sell certainty where none exists. Thank you.
The Honourable Prime Minister.
All right, thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Thank you, Member of Medeng. Let me ask him this series of important questions. Noted our time is almost half off. I'll maybe ask him to finish questions properly in writing, or if not, my office will pick up his questions through the handset, and we will accord him a proper response. But in summary, let me be succinct on the questions he's raised. Since 2019, when we arrived as government, our principal interest was to grow the economy to a 200 billion kina economy at the earliest. On record, and I say thank you to all faithful Papuan businesses in our country. This SEZ policy is not to displace them, rather to assist them grow, empower them, and work with them. The economy, existing PNG businesses lived under 2018 was a 79 billion kina economy. The economy is like size of the garden, in simple layman's term. If the garden is big, then the father and mother picks from a bigger, well-resourced garden to feed the family at each meal. Economy is like the garden. The budget is like the plate of a meal that is served to the family. In 2019, we realized the economy size was smaller, that cannot sustain a mouth of people over 10 million in PNG. So we came in with a clear policy and series of policies to making sure that we grew the economy at the earliest. Today, as I speak, with SEZ not fully developed, but as part of the stimulant to attract investments, the economy has been growing from a 79 billion kina economy in 2019. Today, we're straddling past 130 billion kina economy. But much more work remains, and I do acknowledge the member for Medeng's reference to PMI jet in Medeng that is right now straddling or lying in idle. It's a case in point to remind us that if we do things, we must do things properly. And so that's a good reminder. But I want to ask him respectfully, let's not kill an intention that means well for PNG businesses as well as new foreign direct investments in our country. Fact remains that our systems are too cumbersome, too layered, to go to IPA or anything, and a foreign investment that is coming to run around to get the regulatory process ticked off. We sometimes have too many red tapes that stops people at the gate and not bring them in. So the SEZ authority was meant to be a one-stop shop. And I want to commend Minister Maru when he came in and picked over from where earlier ministers were doing. He came in with a clarity of vision. Let's have a one-stop structure instead of too many laws that allows for too many structures in our country in all special economic zones. Our intention was simple. every province should have a special economic zone. Now, the concept of special economic zone is not new to our country or also new externally. I give you one example. Manila in Philippines. Manila has more than 40 SEZ, and I may be wrong, please, someone confirm with the researchers as you see through. Manila city alone has over 40 special SEZ in the city itself, at Metro Manila. But the entire country of Philippines, Philippines is sized at 300,000 square kilometers of land. Papua New Guinea is sized at 462,840 square kilometers of land. Philippines is two-thirds the size of PNG. Yet the entire nation of Philippines has over 400 special economic zones. Incentives given. So the idea of special economic zone is simple. In a one-stop, one-gate funding, the investors come in through this, the regulatory process assisted, instead of going over many offices that sometimes, and all of us are experienced in knowing the due process. I give you one example. Governor Baird, for instance, and that may be one of the reasons why he left his government was simply because we were playing around with the investor. He sought to bring in to invest in agriculture, creating over 50,000 jobs in a place no one would have gone to that part of the world. I know that part of the world better because my wife's from that place. He brought in an investor who wanted to come in and harvest sago and do oil palm and everything else, but we were giving him a runaround, and his people a runaround. So if we get this SEZ concept right, we should be attracting investments that come in, not to displace the local industries, but to pick them up and work with them and incubate growth. This country needs over 1 million jobs right now. Over 1 million jobs right now. How do we create 1 million jobs? Mining and petroleum, I give you another example. PNG LNG came in 2008 and 2009. We deliver PNG LNG. In the construction phase, over 10,000 people came in and out and worked. But in operation phase right now, they have less than 1,000 in the operation phase, both upstream and downstream. And so SEZ, deep in the heart and soul of SEZ was the intention to bring in new businesses into our country. The thing we have in PNG, we got excess land, we got a diversified resource base, not just mining and petroleum. We got agriculture of all types, forestry in a downstream processed manner, fisheries in a downstream processed manner. And government, to complement SEZ policy, has key policies already worked upon in the respective sector. I give commendations to the Minister of Fisheries. He is now instructed that all fish caught in our waters must not leave our seas on high sea. They must be brought back into country for us to verify as PNG caught fish, know exactly how much it is, and eventually funnel in time. Medang PMIZ is an area we're looking at, Manus and others, eventually funnel into our current fish factories, processing facilities we have in our country. Subject to, of course, if we had good power available right away. So the intention of SEZ is simple. Every resources that we produce in our country, in the first instance, must be processed here. Fisheries, forestry, agriculture, etc., etc. So the intention is good. I want to ask respectfully to the very learned member for Medang, let us not kill the goose before it lays the egg. It's intended to, as a goose, the SEZ is as a goose to lay more eggs. And the legs that is aid is to proliferate growth. We already in our country, Mr. Speaker, Deputy Speaker, Lear is an SEZ, camouflage in a SML. PNG LNG is an SEZ, camouflage in a gas agreement. They receive incentives. Lear, for instance, today, and we have asked IRC to check the requirements to pay corporate tax, and IRC is working through that process. But Lear, under Lear agreement, do not pay sufficient corporate tax since 1997. But we cannot discount the fact Lear is also employing over 3,000 Papua New Guineans. Lear is spinning GST that they purchase in country. So in sometimes you win some, you lose some. So we already have the concept of SEZ package in the mining and petroleum sectors we have already in country. Now we want to domesticate SEZ in a proper manner, incubate economic activities that is not found in country, if there are other existing business already in country, they are 100% welcome. They are 100%. This is not exclusive foreign investors. And next week, Monday, I'm visiting NASFAN to thank them for announcing a 13% growth in terms of the earnings last year. I'm going to NASFAN's office and I'm letting the cat out of the bag. My conversation with NASFAN would be simple. Don't be a passive investor. Your country is growing. Why don't you, with sufficient liquidity you have in your accounts, go into areas of special economic zone, invest, so that you also invest in certain areas. So I'll just be having a word with them to encourage our super funds to also think in partnering provincial governments, partnering local investors to also ask for a special economic zone incentive. As you said, it's simply put to summarize. We got land, we got resource, we got people.
Honourable Prime Minister, we have a point of order. Honourable Member for Sinasina Yangumul.
I appreciate the line of answers that the Prime Minister has been giving to the question from Member for Medeng, but I want to caution, we've got to be careful how we approach existing performing institutions. We have to look at their statutory mandates. Superannuation funds are established specifically for the purposes of, and their primary mandate, according to the enabling legislation, is to conserve. The word conserve is used. Not to go out there and invest aggressively, but to sustain, maintain the value that you have. That's what they do. They cannot go and invest aggressively like any other ordinary investors because...
Honourable Member for Sinasina Yangumul, sorry, I interrupt your point of order. He seems to be making a statement and debating the...
Well, it's out of order to say you're going to ask them to go and invite. That's all. It's completely out of order.
You already know that it is out of order, and you just want me to make that point. So I'll allow the Prime Minister to.
All right. The Prime Minister has no right to direct NASFAN or Namban Super, and I don't need to be a lawyer to understand this mandate they have. But we will propose to them. You have sufficient liquidity. There are investment opportunities in our country. Maximize, and for instance, agriculture, land available. Why are you remaining passive investors? You could be aggressive investors, partnering provincial governments, whether in Simbu limestone or in Sipik agriculture or other places. So we just, and we understand my boundary clearly. I don't need to be told where my boundaries are, but it is not offensive to sit down. I'm thanking them, and I'm just offering them recommendations, up to them, up to the board. But coming back, SEZ simply means, and I can't consume much time. We got land, we got people, we got resource, and government's giving incentives. Is there anyone out there? We're trying to combine this, land, people, resource. We give incentives, minimum 15-year tax holiday. And someone will argue with me, someone in our own treasury argued with me. Why are you giving tax incentive to the Kido cement there? And I asked him, are you collecting tax right now in that part of our country? Are you collecting tax right now, Mr. Treasury guy? You're not collecting any tax right now in a vacuum. But if we give tax incentive for 10, 15 years, they employ Papua New Guineans, they construct job in a place that no one wants to go today, and beyond 15 years you collect the tax you want to collect. If we had made this argument and shut down PNG LNG in 2008, today the revenue we collect from PNG LNG would not have been collected. So I put to all of us, Albert Einstein once said, doing the same thing over and over expecting different result is insanity. SEZ is trying to cut the bureaucratic red tape from the insanity that has permeated this country for many, many years, combining locations in our country that no one thinks people can invest, combining people there, combining incentives we give, attaching to a local or international investor. To our local investors in our country, don't sit back and hold back. Incentives are available to you as much as to the foreign investors. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
One member for Bulolo.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. My very, very short and sharp question, again, goes to our Prime Minister. I think I have asked this question before, but our people continue to ask the update of the SNT, or State Negotiation Team, on the update on WAFI, and perhaps maybe PNG Papua and LNG too. So, like for too many talks have been going on the corridors of Waigani and around the country on the kind of a snail pace that we are facing with the SNT. We understand that I think Sambla will exploration license by expire this year. Maybe we can learn from Oktedi, our local 100% owned mining company. Sambla advice we can kisem lo how will operate na. You can talk lo future lo this country. After you look at most around to mas lo this merry-go-round, I think we need to come clear to the public on the update on Wafi Golpo. Lo position lo state negotiation team na lo government lo wanem kain outcome best outcome we lo work lem na wanem time by me achieve this la. That's all. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, me like talk thank you, Member Blong, Jimmy Long, Bulololo ask him question. If my ear is correct, I would have heard he asked also on Papua LNG, and so I want to bridge the two key projects together by giving assurance to the people, the country, that this government is not delaying these two projects, contrary to what many would say. Our government is not delaying these two projects. From our front, our policy direction is clear. We want to win 55% total take for Papua New Guinea. So it's up to the investors. State negotiating team has one clear mandate. And there is no new ask. We are not asking over and above the laws of our country. For instance, in the Mining Act, it says 30% equity. We must exercise our right. In the Petroleum Act, it says 22.5% take for the state. And then the royalties and the levies and the basic tax that our country has been charging since we've been a mining and petroleum country. So we plan to ask him, Nubla something law, but with a clearer, within the provisions of existing mining and petroleum and gas acts we have, the laws that governs our country, we ask to win about 55% take for our country. But relating to Papua LNG, agreement was signed already in 2019, before this government came, April 12, 2019. So nothing has stopped. Even the review we asked was agreed early on, and I thank the Honourable Member for Senior Yongumuk. He won additional 5. Outside of the agreed agreement, the 5 that he won, 5 items that he won, did not encroach upon the major gist of the gas agreement signed. So the gas agreement has been standing from 2019 up to 2026. So Total is must tell us exactly what they've done with the gas agreement that has been standing up till today. Whilst PNG government is blamed, and we engaging in final round of conversations with Total. So they have had 5 or 6 years to deliver FID. Of course, COVID-19 came in between, but 5 or 6 years. The manner in which they tendered, the first tender, the second tender, it's not within the control of PNG government to go out on tender. It's a project. Project managers business to tender, to secure an FID, and to progress the project. So we are negotiating with them. They've come back to us asking for some incentive. I want to indicate to this country, it will not be a free incentive. James Marape don't give free incentive. If I was in government in 2018 or 19, it will be a completely different agreement. But it is what it is. We accept the agreement and give commendations to the previous government. The agreement was signed. Within this agreement, we expect them to deliver FID. No FID has been delivered up till today. So we're going through our final round of conversation. The license are running. State will respect the license requirements. They have interest in Papua LNG under petroleum retention license. That petroleum retention license is running its course. I have a letter prepared for the petroleum minister to pass to Total to do what they have to do without asking so much from the state. They have a gas agreement that they must live by, and that gas agreement separates how state and the project relates. And we will go by the gas agreement signed in 2019. In Wafi-Golpu too, they relate to the project and to the country through an exploration license that is running. So these two licenses has a sunset to it. They're running their course as I speak. And I want to conclude by saying to the people of Wafi-Golpu, to the people of Papua, this government, even before FID was announced, we put down funding for business development grant, we put down funding for infrastructure development grant, to show we are serious about these projects and to get our people being worked upon and prepared. So I call upon those investors. I call upon those investors in these two major projects. Your license statutory requirements are running as we speak. Your petroleum retention license and your exploration license. This country cannot keep on waiting and waiting and waiting. And I want to say to my people right across this country, when I sat down an operating mine, Pogra, the opposite said this country will be a banana republic. This country will fail. And I want to give you some statistics, Mr. Deputy Speaker. In 2018, budget of this country was 14 billion. Why do I make reference to 2018? It's not just to remind that the former member of Yalu Pange was heading the government at that time. No, far from it. I want to remind us that Pogra was in full operation. Pogra was in full operation. PNG LNG was running. Papua LNG was not around. Wafi-Golpu was not around. Our budget was 14 billion in 2018. Last year we ticked off at 25, I beg your pardon, not budget, but revenue. Revenue for the country was 14 billion in 2018. Last year, even without Papua LNG, even without Wafi-Golpu, you think this country will die? Last year, 25 billion Kenya budget. So for those who think that Wafi and Papua holds the magic pill to this country, even without Wafi and Papua, we collected 25 billion Kenya budget last year. 2014 budget, of course Papua was not there, Wafi was not there, but with Pogra still operating under SML1 terms, not a Marape Iparas, Marape Pangu government, new Pogra, but old Pogra budget revenue 14 billion Kenya 2018. Mr. Deputy Speaker, GDP 2018, 79 billion Kenya GDP 2018. Even without Wafi-Golpu and Pogra, today we've gone past 130 billion Kenya GDP. You ask me, where's the growth coming from? Even without a fully functional SCZ as yet, there's a spike in coffee, copra, cocoa, our focus on agriculture, our focus on construction sector of the economy, even without Papua and Wafi. I want to tell you, my people, Papua and Wafi don't hold magic key to our country. Sustainable element of economy has the magic pill to our country. Today, our economy is 133 billion Kenya.
Point of order, opposition leader.
I thank the Prime Minister for elucidating the House on the economic performance of the government. But I think what's important, with empathy to the people of Bulolo, the honourable member simply wants to ask when they can expect Wafi-Golpu to come online. If the Prime Minister could answer that question and give a clear date. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Honourable opposition leader, your point of order is in order. We'll allow the Prime Minister to give a reply.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Thank you for the reminder to the main issue of the question. We knew exactly sometimes the investors, investors are here also to up the game in as far as profit for their shareholders are concerned. I'm here to up the game for return to my landowners and my country. And I'm not going to sell my country too cheaply. Our 2018 MOU signed by the two investors made this country lost 10% of what is prescribed by law. And I beg your pardon, O'Neill government MOU in 2018 signed that we will have only 20% stake in Wafi-Golpu, and the investors will have 80% stake, on record.
Point of order.
Point of order.
Pangia.
Mr. Speaker, you know, it doesn't matter how the Prime Minister wants to color this to make himself feel good. When he came into government, he was the one who said that he will review these projects. And as a result, the investors got nervous. Admit that you have made mistakes. Admit that you have made mistakes. And 7 years, this country has wasted an opportunity to build these world-class projects. Now, Mr. Speaker, what is referring to that, this 20%, government has an option to take 30% or 20%. Yes, I've decided to take 20% because we had to borrow money to pay for those shares. That's why, yes, of course, I did that. And I made it available to your governor in Morobe to find money and buy it himself, Mr. Speaker. And that's why both of you frustrated the project. That's why the investor, Newcrest, did not want to invest. Just admit your faults, Mr. Speaker. You are just lying again. You wanted to think that you are going to get a better deal. You missed out on Papua. You missed out on Papua LNG. Now they're asking for $2.5 billion or $3 billion US dollars for Papua New Guinea to sacrifice. And now you have been caught out, Mr. Speaker. You've been caught out.
Hello. I've said hello to stop you from continuing your point of order. You always raising up a statement on the point of order, which I will not allow for. So, Honorable Prime Minister.
All right, me sort him now. Me like giving belly seal of country to the people of Wafi-Golpu. Last triple year, people distributing infrastructure development grant, called Morobe provincial government, even without Newmont, Nahamoni, agreeing on project agreement yet. Government giving money come to you, cleaning road, making pulling power. You try making work stop. That time people completing negotiation of these projects. Mr. Deputy Speaker, you long makam damlo tasol. What to the Guantablo area you? It's a project lo Wafi-Golpu and 40 years, past them like him 6-year license, na mito nogat. Not have 6-year license. Brother, let me talk to upside down, but you make only 20% of sol na mito. Big minus how 20%? Law talk 30%, you must get 30%. So time all investors come. We've been going in and around the same conversation around 20%, 30%. One blood time me talking big man blong Newmont. I'm questioning state bagat ability to raise him 30%. Now me sarap me na me talk. You know got right to question him sovereign ability to raise him money. Former Prime Minister midla defel on Islam me lusi me. I'm so prominent investor like country sim like that. All investor sim big la. Now me lusi lo this last. Me lusi lo fight lo kisi molo Wafi, kisi molo Pogra, kisi molo Papua. And I want to advise the investors, don't make me stand here and fight too long. I start on a sitting mine. The country never go broke. I got statistics to say the country was growing. The last 7 years I sat down a sitting mine. And just to give you some statistics, with Pogra now reoperating, our internal revenue in 2025 was internal revenue in 2025 with Pogra operating at important something so people harem good na me talk sa good so that plenty of German no can come up with something. Internal revenue with Pogra operating in 2018 from mining and petroleum tax 9.7 billion kina. With the old Pogra. 2018, Brother Mr. Babsadi and was Lois Lagabantai. Now along 2025 internal revenue One time Nubla Pogara, gold price in Oguanta Bedlo 5,000, but stablo gold price before. And the Nubla Pogara internal revenue, block country, 17 billion. Mining and petroleum taxes. My leaders, Miduna Hareblo signing Wafi Golpu or Papua LNG, South Me South and benefit block country, come good. And to the investors who are doing these projects, your exploration license and your petroleum retention license timeline is running. Let's work to deliver FID at the earliest. Thank you, Thomas.
Leader of Government Business. Honourable members, our question time has lapsed. Leader of Government Business.
Deputy Speaker, I ask leave of Parliament to move a motion without notice.
Is leave granted? Leader of Government Business.
Deputy Speaker, I move that some of our standing orders be suspended as would prevent the Chairman of the Permanent Parliamentary Committee on Communications presenting the Committee Inquiry Report of 2026.
The question is that the motion are agreed to. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Chairman, Parliamentary Chairman on the Committee of Communication.
Thank you, Speaker. Honourable members, I present the report of the Permanent Parliamentary Committee on Communication on the inquiry into the standard and integrity of journalism in Papua New Guinea 2026. Mr. Speaker, I ask leave of the Parliament to make a statement in connection with the report.
Is leave granted?
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to present to this Honourable House the report of the Permanent Parliamentary Committee on Communications on the parliamentary inquiry into the standard and integrity of journalism in Papua New Guinea. Mr. Speaker, in Papua New Guinea, communication has always been central in our way of life. Long before modern media, our people shared knowledge, resolved disputes, and passed on history through stories, community dialogue, and the wisdom of leaders in our diverse nation of many cultures and languages. The sharing of truthful information has always been essential for unity, peace, and understanding. Today, the media plays a similar role in our modern democracy. As free, safe, and high-quality media sector is fundamental to the democratic development and prosperity of our nation, responsible journalism informs citizens, strengthens transparency and accountability, and gives voice to communities across our provinces and districts. When journalism is conducted with integrity and professionalism, it strengthens public trust and supports good governance and national development. However, Mr. Speaker, our information environment is changing rapidly. The growth of digital technology and social media has expanded access to information and opened new opportunities for public participation. More Papua New Guineans can now communicate, share ideas, and access news through mobile phones and online platforms, including in rural and remote communities where traditional media access is limited. But these developments have also brought serious challenges. The spread of misinformation, disinformation, fake news on social media, poor quality or sensationalized reporting or bad news reporting increasingly threatens the credibility of information available to our people. False information can spread rapidly across communities, creating confusion, damaging reputations, inflaming tensions, and undermining trust in institutions. At the same time, journalists themselves face growing pressures. Many journalists reported intimidation, harassment, online abuse, particularly when covering sensitive political or public interest issues. in some cases, safety concerns and professional pressures discouraging independent reporting. These challenges highlight the importance of protecting both the safety and the editorial independence of journalists so they can carry out their work freely and responsibly. Mr. Speaker, today these developments weaken public trust in information, undermine democratic accountability, and threaten the important role that the media plays in supporting our democracy and national unity. Mr. Deputy Speaker, it is in response to these concerns that the Permanent Parliamentary Committee on Communication undertook this nationwide inquiry into the standard and integrity of journalism in Papua New Guinea. The purpose of the inquiry was to examine the current state of journalism and the broader information environment in our country, identify the key challenges affecting media standards and professional integrity, and develop practical recommendations to strengthen the sector in the national interest. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the committee conducted extensive consultation across the country to ensure that the voices of Papua New Guineans were heard. Public hearings were held across all 4 regions, Momase Islands, New Guinea Islands, and southern regions, followed by a national workshop and hearings in Port Moresby. This consultation brought together journalists, broadcasters, academic institutions, government agencies, civil society organizations, churches, youth representatives, and members of the public. Through these consultations, the committee received valuable insight from those working within the media sector as well as from communities who rely on reliable and responsible information. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the inquiry identified a number of interconnected challenges affecting both journalism and the wider information environment in Papua New Guinea. These include declining professional standards in some areas of journalism, limited training opportunities for journalists, intimidation and safety risks faced by journalists, and weak protections for independent reporting. The inquiry also highlighted the growing influence of social media and as a primary source of information where misinformation, disinformation, cyberbullying, and sensational content can spread rapidly. Stakeholders are also raised concerns about the exposure of children and young people to harmful online content, the weakening capacity of public broadcasting services in some provinces, and gaps in regulatory frameworks needed to respond effectively to digital era challenges. Mr. Deputy Speaker, in response to these findings, the committee has developed a comprehensive reform agenda comprising 40 recommendations across legislative reform, institutionalizing, strengthening, journalism, education, training, professional standards, and measures to strengthen public trust in the information environment. Among the most significant recommendations, Mr. Deputy Speaker, are proposals to modernize outdated legislation affecting the media sector, including replacing the Printers and Newspapers Act with the Modern Freedom of Press Act, and establishing a Media Development Trust Fund to support independent journalism and strengthen provincial media capacity. The committee also recommends legislation to guarantee public access to government information, stronger legal protection for journalists against intimidation and obstruction, and clearer coordination between government agencies in addressing cybercrime and online threats. Mr. Deputy Speaker, recognizing the impact of digital technologies, the committee also recommends stronger governance measures for the digital information environment. These include strengthening SIM registration systems to improve accountability in mobile communication, developing legislation to address emerging risks from artificial intelligence or AI and deepfake content, and establishing a national task force to coordinate responses to misinformation and disinformation. The committee further recommends improving law enforcement capacity by establishing provincial cybercrime units and strengthening digital investigation capabilities across the country. Mr. Deputy Speaker, during the inquiry, many stakeholders expressed serious concerns about the misuse of social media platforms to spread false information, incite tension, and undermine public order. While social media remains as an important tool for communication and civic participation, the committee recognizes that stronger safeguards are needed to ensure that these platforms are used responsibly. Mr. Speaker, in this context, the committee recommends developing clear national social media protocols for government agencies and strengthening safeguards to ensure responsible use of digital platforms, particularly to protect young people from harmful online content, misinformation, and cyberbullying. These measures should support a safer digital environment while maintaining transparency, accountability, and full respect for constitutional protections for freedom of expression. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the committee also places strong emphasis on restoring journalism quality and professional standards. Recommendations include strengthening journalism education, reinstating cadet journalist programs, improving collaboration between journalism schools and media organizations, supporting professional accreditation and mechanism, and promoting responsible and balanced reporting that prioritize accuracy, verification, and the public interest. Mr. Deputy Speaker, equally important is the need to strengthen media literacy among citizens. The committee therefore recommends the development of a national digital and media literacy strategy to help citizens, especially young people, better distinguish between credible information and misleading content. Mr. Deputy Speaker, in a country as culturally diverse and geographically diverse as dispersed as Papua New Guinea, the media plays a critical role in connecting our people, sharing information across provinces and communities, and ensuring that all voices are heard in national dialogue. A strong, independent, responsible media sector contributes not only to democratic governance, but also to national unity, social stability, and informed development. The committee hopes that this report will contribute to building a more credible, professional, and resilient media sector that reflects our national values of respect, responsibility, and service to the public. Mr. Deputy Speaker, on behalf of the committee, I wish to express sincere appreciation to all individuals and organizations who contributed their time, knowledge, and perspective to this inquiry. And I would like to make special mention to Honorable Ricky Morris, Deputy Chairman, Chairman of Citizen Affairs and MP for Alatau, as a committee member. Honorable Hermes Tobang, Chairman, Public Works, Member for Kokopo. Honorable Kasmiro Ayas, Assistant Speaker, Member for Koilala. Honorable Robert Naguri, Chairman for Health Matters, Member for Bogia. Honorable Sasindra Muthuvel, Chairman for MTDP4, Member for West New Britain. Honorable Y. Rapa, Member for Western Islands. And also we would like to make special mention to the clerk and the parliamentary committee secretary who really assisted us, and to the UNDP, which was supported by OSED, strengthening PNG parliamentary project, and to the media houses, Media Council of Papua New Guinea, NBC, the National Post Korea, TV1, Wantok newspaper, and to all other media platforms and social media influencers, and the government sector, Department of ICT, National Censorship Office, NICTA, Royal PNG Constabulary, Universities of Papua New Guinea and Divinewood, and to all our people who participate in this inquiry. Mr. Speaker, I move that the report and its recommendations be adopted.
Leader of Government Business.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I move that the debate be adjourned and made an order of the day for a subsequent sitting.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Honourable members, grievance debate. Governor for West New Britain.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, for acknowledging the people of West New Britain. I thank the Chairman ICT Committee for his wonderful report to the Parliament after elaborate deliberations and visiting the four corners of our country. Mr. Deputy Speaker, my grievance will be related to decentralization and also the challenges as a provincial government we faces. Mr. Deputy Speaker, we keep talking about decentralization and we make it sound as if it's very simple. Since 1995 reforms, to date, it's almost 31 years. We have been constantly talking about this decentralization, and I thank the Minister for Provincial Government and Local Level Government Affairs for his enormous effort, to introduce reforms. And we are still far behind in terms of, bringing those reforms. Mr. Deputy Speaker, it is easy for us to simply blame it on provincial government. We say all the functions are devolved: education, health, infrastructure. But Mr. Deputy Speaker, all these functions devolved has no meaning if the funding do not follow these functions. I may sound negative, Deputy Speaker, but I'm just talking about the reality whereby if we can correct ourselves. Like in 2024, Mr. Deputy Speaker, for example, in West New Britain, it's appropriated 42.3 million kina, as a functional grant. Mr. Deputy Speaker, we call it functional grant because without that, we cannot function. That's why it's called functional grant, which covers our education. That also covers our teachers' leave fare and, some part of the teachers' wages, especially casual teachers' wages, mainly teachers' leave fare. And it also covers infrastructure. It also covers economic activity, law and justice, village court. Economic activity means we talk about those agriculture, forestry, fisheries, in the provinces. And these are functional grants mainly meant for these sectors so that various sectors within the province can perform to the expectation of our people. But imagine, Deputy Speaker, when you are appropriated for 42.3 million kina, in 2024, but you received only 16.7 million kina, that is 38%. And we had an outstanding unpaid warrant of 6 million kina, and outstanding of 19.6, that is like 25.6 million, we did not receive. That's like almost like 62%. And again, Mr. Deputy Speaker, in 2025, just last year, thankfully, we were appropriated 45.2 million kina to cover all these functional grants, various sectors. But we received 28.6 million kina, which is 63%. And 16.6 million kina is still as unpaid or outstanding. These shortfalls, Deputy Speaker, it drains our other revenues, and we have to cut our other recurrent programs. Deputy Speaker, when we talk about true decentralization, it requires reliable, full, and timely funding from Waigani, not just in appropriation or just in paper. Decentralization without funding is just an empty talk, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Every province hold enormous potential in this country, Deputy Speaker. Some provinces wants to run, some wants to walk, some wants to crawl. So we supposed to support those provinces who wants to run in terms of, bringing development, economic development. Deputy Speaker, we cannot, strain or make the provinces suffer by starving them, with these much needed functional grants. These are not even development grants, so to say. The development grant, thankfully, yes, we received our PSIP, DSIP, PSG, DSG. the 10 million kina. But these functional grants are so vital to run the entire province, especially our systems, like especially law and order, our education. Our teachers' leave pay is almost like over 20 million kina still remains as outstanding. And Deputy Speaker, these are accumulated over a period of time. So how do we really honor those teachers who have been, really doing hard work? And because these teachers' leave fare is also factored in that 10 to 12 million kina per annum, that one component is just teachers' leave fare. Others are for materials or allowances and inspectors and all those things. But these are one area where we really struggle. And that also includes, there's a small component, 2 to 3 million kina comes for public administration, which is like, it also includes like public servants' leave fare. Deputy Speaker, in order to grow this country, we do not have to grow the entire 21 provinces and ABG same time. Even if 1 or 2 provinces grows, this country will grow. Deputy Speaker, we constantly hearing, this issue. I really do not understand this misrepresentation, by the government or seniors, like, talking about ABG, talking about other provinces. Deputy Speaker, nobody wants independence except Bougainville. We are proud to be Papua New Guineans. We are part and parcel of Papua New Guinea. The entire 21 provinces, we are so proud. But how do we develop these provinces? We have to treat these 21 provinces as 21 economies, Deputy Speaker. The only way I can think of keeping this country united, stronger, is to support whichever provinces grow. Let's say if Kokopo wants to develop agriculture, so be it. Let's invest in agriculture, in tourism, in East New Britain, and we develop that Kokopo as a center for tourism, or Alatau for tourism. Deputy Speaker, you go to Indonesia, many people do not even know that Bali Island is in Indonesia. Indonesia is 100% Islamic country. Whereas when you think about tourism, relaxing, all the white money are like Rangolo, Bali Tasole. Whether it's from US or from Australia, everyone can think of, Bali. Likewise, when we have our own resources, God-given, natural resources, God has created everything in abundance in this country, whether it's a natural beauty or whether it's resources, gold, copper, everything is in abundance. We supposed to grow that abundance or market that abundance so we can attract the tourism to come inside. Even if 1 or 2 provinces grow, Papua New Guinea grows. That is my strongest conviction, that if we support 1 or 2 provinces to grow economically, that means we are going to grow the entire country. The 21 province is not just a province, but 21 economies. And the only way to keep our country together, our country, progress, is to recognize. If we like to copy everything from Australia next door, then why are we not copying? Don't you think, Deputy Speaker, there is some kind of agenda as to, keeping the powers in Waigani? Because we always have to, at the mercy of, secretaries, at the mercy of, ministers, we have to come and crawl here for money. We talk about bulk grant. What's the use of bulk grant? We just talk about bulk grant, but if actual money is not actually, transmitted to or given to the provinces, that bulk grant also is not going to work. So the only way is to be honest with our provinces and to see how we can develop, even if we cannot grow as all the 21 at the same time, but at least select 2 or 3 and, build those provinces in that industry, whether be it in agriculture or tourism or whichever, they are professional at, so that we can build up that province. And by building that province, we are building Papua New Guinea. If we like to copy everything from Australia, Deputy Speaker, we should copy also the state government system. How Queensland, is doing itself. How New South Wales is, as a state, having their own rules. The education in Queensland is different from New South Wales. The economic activities are different. So we should have different, because each and every province is unique, different. And every province has its own priorities. We cannot just treat it like same formula applies for, all the 21 provinces. So, Deputy Speaker, this I find it really difficult, because the only way I can think is like, you expect everyone to be dependent in Waigani is not going to work. And it's even more detrimental. I mean, politically, yes, it is convenient. Because here you come, for every services. But ideally, we're supposed to, give those powers and build those provinces, build that local level governments so that the service is reaching at local government level. I mean, we are creating too many different governance systems. DDAs, then initially we got national government, provincial government, LLG, now national government, provincial government, DDAs and LLGs. Honestly, how many, of these governments have been audited or systems have been audited for us to really understand the performance of each and every level of our government? Deputy Speaker, my honest and genuine appeal to this government is to genuinely transfer the powers and functions and funding to the respective provincial governments and local level governments so that the service can be felt by our people in those respective areas. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Karamui Nomani.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I intend to raise, there is a question to the Minister for Foreign Affairs during question time, but due to time limitations.
Honourable Member, sorry for interrupting you. I'd just like to make a statement here to honourable members. I'm always being on the chair and observe what is always happening in the floor of Parliament on Fridays when we come to grievance debate. It is a very important time for a member to express what he feels to express to the House. So when it comes to any point that you want to raise a point of order, remember that that member has his right to express what he felt. So don't unnecessarily interject by bringing up point of order which will disturb the member when he speaks. And secondly, when you are given a chance to speak to the floor of Parliament, don't leave the House when you finish and let others to listen to others. You have to sit and listen to others also raise their grievances. So, Honourable Member, you can continue your debate.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I think all of us are aware. Lately, the U.S. State Department has placed PNG on what is called a visa-borne program. PNG is among other 12 other countries that is subject to an imposition of $15,000 US dollars on a visa to travel to the USA, as announced by the U.S. State Department. And Mr. Speaker, as we are all aware, a lot of our citizens are working and studying in the USA. I don't know if that imposition of fees is retrospective or it applies to new visas. And I received a call this morning from one of my students who is intending to apply under the Education Department STEM program to go and study in the US. And going at the current exchange rate, $15,000 is equivalent to about, US dollars would be about, in Papua New Guinea, equivalent would be about $50,000, $60,000 around there, Kina around there. And Mr. Deputy Speaker, that is a hell of a money. And as to why the U.S. State Department placed our country among the other 12 countries on that visa bond program, that is a matter within the knowledge and the right of the U.S. government. But the concerns that I have, and perhaps a lot of you leaders here will have, and our people will have, is that for our citizens who travel to the USA from the time of the issuance of that notice, it will become very difficult to obtain a U.S. visa. As to the class or the nature of the visa, that's a matter for the good Minister for Foreign Affairs to ascertain with his department secretary and counterpart in the U.S. Because if that restriction or ban applies, it will have devastating effect on a lot of our young people and a lot of our citizens who intend to travel to the USA under a U.S. visa. As I've said, $15,000 US dollars, equivalent to 50 or 60,000 kina, is a lot of money by any standard. And at this stage, I don't know. I'm not privy to, but I don't know whether our government, through the Department of Foreign Affairs, has any bilateral relationship with or agreement with the United States that some form of special considerations can be granted to especially students. Our students who wants to go and study in colleges and universities in the United States. And that's something that the good minister and our government can take it up at that level. Also, maybe when the time, at a proper time, the good minister can also inform this House, maybe on the next sitting of Parliament, as to the restriction, the class of visas that restriction applies, and what are the avenues that are available to our citizens if they intend to apply for a U.S. travel visa, either it's business, study, or any other form of visa to the United States. Thank you.
Honorable Member for Abao.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, for according me again an opportunity to express some concerns. And I'm thankful that the Prime Minister is here. I was wishing that the Minister for Provincial Affairs was here and Minister for Planning. I want to raise two issues in this debate. First one is in response to the Honorable Governor for Manus. He asked a question to the Prime Minister with regards to the work that the urgent work that the Electoral Boundaries Commission should do to address this issue where Manus only has one electorate with two leaders and two CEOs. And therefore, he expressed that the C area is very, very big, and therefore the need for Manus to have an extra electorate. I also see and a small population. I also noted that before the LLG elections, many new LLGs and many new wards were created. And so this mindset of asking for more electorates, more LLGs, more wards, I think as a parliament, we really need to look at it seriously. And my question is increasing more LLGs, more wards, and more electorates the right way to go for this country going forward in the next 50 years? Or should we stop and rethink the approach we need to? And so I want to offer a suggestion. Hopefully the Prime Minister and his executive team can process, particularly through the Treasurer, as well as the Minister for Provincial Governments and Local Level Governments. Mr. Deputy Speaker, there is a body established called the National Economic Fiscal Commission. When that body was established, one of its core functions was to establish minimum standards of service delivery in this country. And therefore, the National Monitoring Authority was established, now taken over by Plasma. The reason why it was established was that the agencies of state, their departmental heads and their ministers would then come back with the minimum standards of service delivery, and unit costing would then be the determining factor for the allocating of resources through the budget process. However, because of politics, Mr. Deputy Speaker, we have been plucking off figures from the air without proper evidence. For example, we came up with a 10 million DSIP program. And then another 5 million infrastructure program, and another 5 million Kina for Kina program. And so we've been guessing all the time. However, the entity that the state established by law, called the National Economic Fiscal Commission, has not been allowed to come back through the Office of the Treasury, and I understand NEFC reports to the Treasurer. And so, for example, in my argument and my proposal today, Manus, it has a vast sea mesh like other maritime provinces. Oh, sorry, it's packed under the minister.
Honourable Member, point of order.
Oh, no, thank you. I just want to correct the honourable member for about that the NEFC comes under the Ministry for Rural and Economic Development, not the Treasury. Thank you.
Thank you. Point of order is in order.
Thank you, Minister. It used to be under Treasurer, but I'm glad that I've been corrected. So it's now under the Ministry of Rural Development and Implementation. And I hope, I'm glad that the Minister is here as well. And so my argument with the vast sea mass and a small population, I believe the response is not creating more electorates or more LLGs, but the response is we must now go back to the Minister, now responsible for the National Economic Fiscal Commission, and ask the question for Manus to effectively save its people through the vast sea mess. How much does a drum of Zoom cost in Manus in order to maintain services through its atolls? And then we come back and say Manus should receive not 10 million fixed budget that like what we do, but according to its mess area, sea mess. And therefore, the budget should therefore be appropriated. Rather than us creating too many politicians, too many wards, LLGs, and therefore separating ourselves, that ward belongs there, district belongs there, so we don't talk to each other. I think this is, to me, not the way to go. So I strongly urge the minister now responsible to undertake this important activity that, and come and advise the parliament. For the health sector, these are the minimum standards. For education sector, law and order, agriculture, infrastructure, province by province, maritime provinces, urban electorates, highlands provinces, electorates where no roads are covering the entire electorates. I think we really should move that way, rather than coming and asking the Electoral Boundaries Commission, which does its job every 10 years, and then try and fight for more electorates, because the more electorates you have, your province or district has more funding. I think this more money culture mindset, we have to slow it down because the resources are limited. We cannot keep on increasing our appetite for unending amount of resources. We cannot keep on expanding the budget. 2027 was promised to be a balanced budget, no more excess, no more loans. So we have to learn to live within our means, but we also have to protect our people with regards to what is the minimum number that Manus as a province and as a district needs in order to save its population, many of them out there in the atoll. So I thought, Deputy Speaker, that's the point I really want to emphasize. I think we must stop creating more electorates, more politicians, and then next time we'll be asking to expand the chamber because we don't have enough seats. I don't think that's the way to go. Second point, Deputy Speaker. What is the lesson? The question I want to pose in this grievance debate is, what is the lesson that the country should pick up from the Bougainville experience? To me, Honorable Speaker, Deputy Speaker, we must answer this question as a country. 20, 50 years putting us behind now, next 50 years. What are the things that we must pick up as a country learning from Bougainville? My take, the country must at all costs be always united. The late Grand Chief, the Honorable Sir Michael Thomas Somare, put together a nation of over 800 different tribes. He fought for it until we put him to rest 3 years ago. That dream cannot be thrown away. We must remain all the time as a united country. Therefore, what do we do in order for us, as diverse as we are, to remain a united country? Lessons from Bougainville. One, for example, our resource laws, and I commend the Honorable Prime Minister for picking this up. We must negotiate for more take from our resources rather than less. That's a direction we must go. So our negotiating teams must sit down with the global powerful corporate entities in their boardrooms, and we negotiate so that the bulk of the benefit comes to Papua New Guinea, going to the provinces, the local level governments and districts, and the landowners. That's a direction, that's a cry from Panguna before it exploded into a 10-year crisis. And so that's the direction we have to maintain. Second.
Honorable Member for
my time is up.
Your 10 minutes elapsed.
I just want to end one grievance debate apart from the 2 points, and that is, Deputy Speaker, every time we always ask for extension of question time. It's about time we increase question time from 45 minutes to 60 minutes. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Member for Kokopo.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Me too, me sign up na joining more colleague members long sila grievance debate. Lo talk long law and order issue inside lo country. But before me had one time grievances debate below me like congratulate him chairman belong ICT long good inquiry report that me present him today. Thank you, Chairman. It was not that easy for us to travel around the country to get the views of the public. And today, because of that report, through the views of the public, we've been challenged. And thank you, as we were the leaders enough to air the views and the cries of the people throughout the country. Thank you. My grievances debate regarding law and order issue, as Yuplabuk Lolukim and I, first of all, let me thank the former police minister and the current minister for the initiative that we take him up long surrendering of guns throughout the country. Law and order issue before we build the infrastructure. And before we talk about building education, building infrastructure in terms of rural electrification, in terms of roads, health, Deputy Speaker, we have to sort out a law and order first before building this law or infrastructure, or otherwise we will all come back here and complain about the DSIP and PSIP funds that the Olivok giving me come inside Long Yumi through our respective districts and the provinces. Deputy Speaker, me talk thank you. Long second city Yumi Lolei. Thank you, Chairman. Long Lay City Authority na Deputy Prime Minister. Lo taking lead long our addressing law and order inside Lolei. Me commend him, Nupla Minister, one more time, for the second time, that today, Emlo Highlands Olivok Long surrender him all factory-made gun, I-weapon guns, inside Long Kokopo, and I'll talk about Kokopo. But Bami cover him up, Lik Long East New Britain. Inside Long Kokopo today, and before I continue, I would like to step back and say thank you to the youths. To the youths, today they are surrendering the guns. Almost 300 homemade guns in Kokopo, and we are still continuing to surrender the guns. Now by going up here long 500 to 1,000. Kokopo was not like the previous years. This type of attitude was just adopted maybe from somewhere else. 6 years ago, and some of those issues are legacy issues that we are addressing today, Deputy Speaker. And today, Olivok surrender him also me talk 300 guns. You play talk long grenade too, me play got grenade long Kokopo. Bullets that are surrendering, and I would like to say thank you again. Because before me build him up Kokopo to become a tourism hub in Papua New Guinea, like what East New Britain has been declared as a tourism hub, we need to sort out law and order issue first. And I thank this government under the Marape Rosso government. Most of us will be complaining, but some of us are using those funds at least for addressing some of these issues, especially law and order. But let me tell us, as this Honorable House, that Kokopo, after 2 months, within 2 months, you know, got one black activity come up along Kokopo. And I would like to assure this Honorable House and the people of Papua New Guinea, and even our investors, that Kokopo now is ready for any investors to come into East New Britain. Deputy Speaker, after a long surrendering of guns, today we are putting them into programs. Because time only surrendering gun, Deputy Speaker, only must get program. And before me continue, me like to thank you, long Governor, lo present him this la bill haste, which Kokopo to by benefit longan. But inside lo yumi long all votes na through long urban drifts, me plateau long rural as in Kokopo I operate in a dual function under the urbanization and rural development. And today, Deputy Speaker, me play long exercise him na utilize him all ward LLG magistrate, which now they're using the power just like the National Court and District Court, to exercise the IPO. The IPO is the interim preventive order that today all the wards are signing. Those are through the ward members, the ward development committees, and also the people in the community. In the event of them, only burukim de selahoda, they can be arrested. And 1,000 kina fine, na nogat 1,000 kina fine, and we can go kalabus long 6 pelamun, Deputy Speaker. Now thank you through this because me one kind of solo me play exercise in finish inside long local level government, Deputy Speaker. And today, Kokopo now Ivok go inside, so we are bringing back Kokopo into a peaceful place again. An environment that conducive for the visitors to come. And like what I normally said here in Parliament, that Kokopo is the most visited place in Papua New Guinea in terms of conferences. in terms of tourists. And that is where me play walk long, receiving some funds long and I'll be applying inside law revenue. But first thing first, through lawyer deputy speaker, before me play continue, and me play like solving law and order. And I would like to say thank you to the police in East New Britain, which today now only walk long, go inside now walking marvelous with all the board members and the presidents. Bringing back peace inside the community. And today, those people that are termed that are criminals, they are not criminals, Deputy Speaker, but they are our sons and daughters. Today, only work surrender. Only look sabe, lo bonem all problem that only been work facing, and their responsible government under the leadership of their member for Kokopo is now putting them in the space of bringing all technical schools that only work him, and in it long Koko rehabilitation, life skills training, tourism, and in it long all programs that only can keep him all busy. And today we are preparing them for the next 20 years plan for Kokopo, how we can change Kokopo into a tourism hub just like Bali. Deputy Speaker, me talk thank you Ken. Long all people blow me because only work long arim talk. Now thank you Police Minister. My concern now is this through the Police Minister. The Colonial Act under the police, it can be changed, amended so that you may look na decentralizing power. Blow police, he come down now along all provinces. PPC, it can be appointed by the provincial government. And then through long appointment, long all, it can go inside now long all police stations, police station commander. Today, most of the vehicle that has been given to police, it has been used on, ad hoc basis. We know like Bagarapi Mall, but me talk thank you. Sample all police vehicle, and then he walk in me plug hand inside lo district. Long hiring all cab lo disala all programs. So inside long Kokopo, Deputy Speaker, we got 4 police cars that's all inside long Kokopo district, with 100+ policemen. Now, we can now work long halivim, long funding police, and that is our co-responsibility, Deputy Speaker. We can talk about anything, but again, I will repeat this. Law and order is so paramount for us, very important to sort out the law and order issue before you may continue one time all Narapla development. One more time, I would like to say, Police Minister, thank you with this same initiative where Kokopo District work him. Now, me talk finish, Deputy Speaker, 300 homemade guns, got factory made, but me no sabe our people blow me is matru lo building up gun, also all factory made.
Kokopo, 10 minutes, blow you come up finish.
Thank you, Turu. Chairman, me like talk yet, but thank you. Time blow me stop. Thank you, Turu. Deputy Speaker, lo give him time long all people lo Kokopo District. Thank you.
Deputy Speaker, I just wanted to add a few comments during this grievance debate to a few matters that I felt I could contribute to. One, I wish to speak about the Vagrancy Act that we recently passed, which I support. I wholeheartedly support. And I thank the good governor for NCDC for bringing it in. And I thought everyone debated quite passionately, and they all had points, including the points raised by the good opposition leader. Now, he deferred from most of the arguments presented, and he did not vote for the act, or the bill, sorry. But he did have points that we must be cognizant of. That eventually we want to come to a stage where all Papua New Guineans can move around freely and do whatever they please in this country as long as it's within the laws and they're not in any way, shape or form creating problems and breaking laws. But I wanted to make a point about how we arrived here. how did we arrive here where we are seeing this massive influx of people from rural areas, from rural areas into the urban centers? Why is this happening? Our people are leaving the districts and stations and flocking into our urban areas, looking for opportunities, better services, safety. Why? Why did this happen? When did this start? Well, there are many reasons, or there are a number of reasons, but the main reason I see is what happened after 1995. If you look at what happened previous to 1995, the districts and stations were functioning quite well. If you went to any district and station, there was water, power, law and order, health services, the police were there, public servants were diligent, they were at work, and they had funds to carry out their programs, meet their responsibilities to the people of their district or station. Funds were received directly from Waigani to maintain these districts and stations. There was a lot of economic activities. People grew their cash crops and engaged in various SMEs and businesses. Investors were encouraged to go to these districts and stations and operate. In fact, many people in many districts and stations didn't go into the urban areas, didn't go into their provincial headquarters unless they really needed to. Districts and stations had a functioning works unit. They had a grader, a roller, usually a 3-ton truck, and work staff, and they maintained the roads, and the roads were great. After the 95 reforms, which were well intended but poorly implemented, districts and stations started to crumble. The lights went out, water was shut, police services started to shrink and shrivel up, health, education. Investors did not want to go to districts and stations and operate there anymore because it was unsafe for them. Their investments were not guaranteed. So people started to look for a better life. They started to flock into the urban areas, placing an enormous burden on the very limited infrastructure and services. For instance, Port Moresby was built for just perhaps 300,000 people. We have 2 million people here easily. And it's the same for every headquarters you go. People have flocked into these areas, and they went there because of these reforms. I mean, there are those who went there because they would go there anyway, young people seeking adventure, seeking brighter lights. But the greater majority of people are flocking into urban centers because they are looking for better services for themselves and their children, opportunities, jobs, law and order. I'm very pleased to see that this government is making an effort to review this, to review these 1995 reforms, this awful effort that has created such a huge mess for all of us. When the 95 reforms were brought about, it was on the pretext of decentralizing. In fact, it greatly centralized many of the functions. And all the governors were encouraged to sign. They all agreed because they were wooed, they were lured with this idea that they would come to Parliament and represent their people. It was a great idea. And that they would now occupy 2 positions, be a governor and a regional member. And they all signed very happily, very quickly. But they didn't read the fine print, what they would give up and how it would impact on their provinces and their districts and stations. That's why it's very important that we review this. This is 30 years old, this very bad policy, and everyone's spoken about it. There has been so much studies about this. There's more than enough research papers and documents written by experts from here and elsewhere. and it has been highlighted at many governors' conferences. And I was very pleased to hear in the last conference that we had, where there was an undertaking made to revert to pre-1995 systems, an effort whereby we would at least retain some of the good that did come out of these reforms. There were some good aspects of these reforms, not many, but some. And then review the destructive consequences. Now we have the DDAs, and we have funding going to the open members, and they're expected to go out there and deliver and maintain these districts and stations. It's beyond them. We need funding that goes directly to the districts and stations so the public servants can actually maintain these districts and stations and create the conducive environment needed so that the people can operate there and live there in peace and have the services and benefits that they ought to be enjoying. So here's a suggestion that I have. One of the consequences, and it all happened around the same time, was the introduction of GST. And it created a lot of problems in itself as well, including the fact that provinces do not get 100% of the GST that they generate. So here's my suggestion, that all provinces should be getting that 100% of the GST. The current arrangement of 60-40 is ridiculous. And that additional amount that goes to the provinces should make it to the districts and stations to maintain them, to revive them. Then the open members and their DDAs can top up and assist in building the required infrastructure and bringing about the normalcy needed to rebuild these districts and stations. And the provincial governments can work hand in hand with the open members and the DDAs and bring this about. And then we will see that people will actually return to the districts and stations. They will be happy to go back there if those services are there. If you turn back the power, if you turn back the water, if you provide law and order, health services, repair the roads, they will go back. I want this to be a serious consideration. Besides reviewing these 1995 reforms, and commendations to the government for doing this, although I must say it's taking too long, and I'd like to see it be, attended to with more urgency. I would like to say that we seriously need to consider this proposal. Give 100% of the GST back to the provinces. And you don't even have to give it to the provincial governments. You can use the additional amount and give it directly back to the stations and districts as it used to be pre-1995. We rebuild those districts and stations, bring back the services that our people enjoyed, and they will return back to their districts and services. Thank you very much.
Honourable Member for Madang.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to grievance debate. I'll try and keep it short. Some of the points I wish to raise, one is we're approaching elections, and it's the election funny period where all types of individuals will exercise their right to contest. Some of these people will involve public servants. Some of these people will involve contractors who are feeding off contracts of government. Some will be individuals who are known associates of certain individuals or ministers or members who will be seen to be getting greater contracts in this period leading into elections. And I think the government needs to have a policy on this issue. Now, if you're a genuine contractor, you've always have a history of carrying out work for government services at a fair and reasonable rate and quality, no issue. But if someone just popped up yesterday and starts receiving 10 million, 20 million contract to a startup company, and it's clear his intention to contest elections and will end up using some of that money to run elections, then we need a policy on this. We also need a policy on public servants who are in unique positions where they either control money, Section 32, or control assets that they can use to their advantage or abuse in furthering their chances of winning elections. So we tried to pass a law that would ban them. Obviously, that wasn't a smart law, that wasn't well thought out, and the Supreme Court struck it down, that you said that if you contest election that you're banned from public servant. We didn't need to ban them. We decided whether they're getting re-employed or not. So I think we need to have a policy that as we go into elections, whether 1 year out, any public servant intending to contest or to make it known in writing to the department that he intends to contest, or she, And that's it. They can continue in the office, and then the issue, they can be risk profiled. Well, you have now you're contesting, you live in that electorate, and you are using assets of the state. So therefore, there needs to be a policy on that. So we don't have issues of abuse. I mean, we're members of parliament. It's our mandate that we're supposed to do. But we're not in the electorate all the time. So I think the government needs to come up with a policy. And if they either resign 6 months out, they get paid out, and we don't have to ban them. We just don't employ them. If they're absolutely high-value teachers, professors, and we need them, then the government can make a decision to re-employ them based on merit. So I just want to contribute in that regard on that issue. The other issue is if the government can make a quick decision or a decision on the appointing the electoral commissioner. I don't think we should be allowing it to go on too close to the election. We need some stability, so we know who's the electoral commissioner, whoever that person is, he or she, and they can give an ample time to prepare. Because we're in April now, and 1 year out from the elections. So I understand there's an appointments committee the Prime Minister chairs. If the Prime Minister can just take note that if a decision can be brought forthwith as early as possible, so that whoever that person is can properly prepare the elections and updating of the roll and so forth. Another issue that I have, or grievance debate, is concerning tax credits, especially those for tax holidays. The most notable ones that have been awarded in previous governments has been Ari Tuna in Madang and Ramu Niko. And we haven't had any research to say whether there's been any real benefit that these tax holidays afforded to these companies. What was the real benefit? How much did they make? How much did we lose in tax? So I took the opportunity to just look into the Ramu Niko, looking at its nameplate capacity of how much cobalt and nickel it can produce, and on just general modeling, if it was to reach nameplate over the 12 years of production, potentially earn between, based on an average price, global price on all those years, and based on a modeling of production based on nameplate, they potentially earn between 9 billion sales US, billion. Now, return on investment, I don't have those figures, but assuming a rate of return over 7 years, they could possibly be earning up to 2 billion kina, 2 billion every year. And so they got a 10-year holiday, and then now they're planning on expanding their operations and investing in infrastructure, and then using that investment as tax credit again, which I think the former IRC commissioner raised concern. So we have a lot of companies like Papua LNG, PNG, what do you call it? Mobile, PNG LNG. They didn't ask for tax holidays. They pay their tax, and they even advertise it. PNG Advantage, the last year they said they paid the PNG government 4 billion. Oh, sorry, in 2024, 4 billion in tax. We didn't have to give them a tax holiday. Their project they invested was 19 billion US. They didn't ask for a tax holiday. Newcrest didn't ask for a tax holiday. Well, I know the Prime Minister made some comments concerning where Newcrest, and I actually looked it up, and they paid last year to the government in November 330 million tax. And in total, that was one of 3 installments, I understand. So they paid 500 million in tax. So I think we need to look at the existing companies who have a track record here, because we are not going to go to Africa and invest because we know nothing about Africa. So the question is, why would new investment come to PNG when they know nothing about PNG? Why would they invest $1 billion in a location they have no history, they have no connection to, with significant risks? They have no ability to operate in the systems that we operate in. Nothing but risk to them. But there are other companies like Exxon, like Newmont, Newcrest, who have been here for years, who have history, that perhaps we should start discussing with how they can increase investment here. How can we make it conducive for them? Because they have a track record. Because we keep accepting overnight companies, people who have no history. We give them these tax credits, and then they go and they sell it. And then we look stupid. And then because we look stupid, no one wants to invest in a country where they've got question marks about how can you declare economic zone in the middle of a city. We are the only. Dubai does SEZ, yes, as the Prime Minister said, so does Philippines. But I can tell you what they do not do is declare an SEZ in the middle of their capital, CBD. Never. In the history of any SEZ has someone declared it in the middle of their capital, their CBD, where someone 10 meters away is paying tax their entire life, the likes of steamships and all the other big hotels. And then you have new ones that come in 4 meters away and they get 15-year tax credit. How do we even reconcile the reasoning in that? If they're investing in other districts where there's limited infrastructure, absolutely. If they're investing in exports, absolutely. What are we exporting out of Paga Hill? What are we exporting? Hotels? We already have hotels. We have existing hotels who've invested, pay taxes. And then a new hotel is going to get 15-year tax-free. For what? These initiatives have a negative impact on PNG as an investor location. Just something the government wants to consider thinking about. And on all these projects, can we have a system set up where members can understand? Because when they negotiate, we don't even know who's negotiating on our behalf. They go and they sit in rooms and they negotiate. And we don't know whether there's offers of kickbacks or special agreements, or these bureaucrats or supercrats end up getting work with them and setting up consultancy firms with these very same companies. If a company is saying, we're going to invest in PNG and these are my risks and this is why we're demanding this, because of the risk, then we say, okay, put it in black and white. After 5 years, if you make super profit, then we will renegotiate. But we don't. When has the last foreign investment in this country failed? They keep saying we're at risk, we're going to fail. Where? When was the last mining company that failed? When was the last LNG company that failed? None of them failed. They made super profits. They became billion-dollar companies. And then they sold to another billion-dollar company. Ramoniko, potentially 800 million we might have lost in tax. 800 million. And it may possibly paid itself off 5 times over. 5 times over, paid itself off. Plus the benefit of up to 900 million. Now that's just estimate modeling of what information I could obtain. But we need to, this parliament needs to know. So with that, thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
Honourable Member for Samarai Murwa.
Deputy Speaker, for giving me this time, an opportunity to contribute in this very important segment of Parliament. I'd like to raise a few issues in regards to what is happening in my district. But first and foremost, I'd like to take this time to thank the government for having recognized our efforts. District Development Authority effort in participating in one of those very important industry in the country, and that is the fishery. I'd like to thank my DDA for having the wisdom to realize that depending on the government will take a while in terms of our DSIP and our PIP fund to come, and that them realizing that resources are within and in their midst. We don't have to look far to realize our full potential in that God has granted us resources. He created us and allowed us to live within resources that we can now utilize. For us in the Maritime District, we fully understand that the vast resource is in the sea, and that is the marine resource. So my DDA, in its wisdom, engaged in a fishing company, and that is now being given a license. And we thank NFA for granting us the license so that we can come out from where we are and to be involved in the fishing industry. I'm very grateful that towards the end of, I think, 2024, Prime Minister as well as the Minister for National Planning launched our fishing vessel, KKC, FBKKC, here in Port Moresby. And a year later, last year, Prime Minister launched our first export to Thailand. And I thank the state agencies who actually enable us to fish and also allow us to export our fish to a Thai market. And I tell you that only when we engage and involve, we'll fully realize that we don't have to continue to depend on government, but we can use our resources. We exported our fish, and we were able to bring in the desired US dollar into the country, into our own account, into the district's fishing account. As I speak, there is another export now in process, the second export to Thailand after a few weeks. And we're exporting to Thailand again to attract additional US dollar into the country. I thank the Prime Minister for his support, for enabling this business to continue to move forward. This is where we must now create opportunities for our people to be involved economically and to create their own wealth rather than depend on someone else to provide for their wealth. We need to work for our own wealth. And fishing is the way forward, Deputy Speaker. Fishing is the way forward. I think if we fully utilize our people and our resources, fishing industry can transform this country's economy. Whether it be downstream processing or even small fishery programs. We were able also to secure our license for beach demur. And last year, I thank the Prime Minister, he provided us the resource, and we were the latecomers in the beach demur season. But we managed to secure or to procure or to purchase over 6 tons, and now in the process of export of streamer to the export market. And I thank those NFA and officers who are involved. I'd also encourage our DDAs. We need to fully operationalize our DDA. We're not only here to deliver services, but there are provisions in the DDA Act that allow us to go into business. Let us fully operationalize the DDA Act and engage the DDA through its investment company to go out and realize its full potential using its own resources within the district, whether it be mining, tourism, fishing, agriculture, lumber, timber, whatever it is. Use our DDA Act, the provisions within the DDA Act, operationalize it, and realize your economic potential. On that note, I'd like to also thank the government through its mining company, Octary Mine. Just recently, they were granted the EL 1747 on my island in Misima. I'm grateful to partner and to host that company to come back. On their return, it is a third generational mine. Oba come back here. Triple time, Oba come back. The first one was before World War II, Papua Mine, M2 Woklo Misima. And then after that, in the 1980s, Placer Dome, and become into Misima Mine, Ogo Wokim Gold Woklo up. And now it's Octary Mine, Oba coming, Kirapim again, triple time mining in Misima. Whilst I welcome them to do mining, we have to do it differently. It must be done differently. I understand that our Prime Minister is the trusted shareholder of Octane Mine. I would like to work in partnership with the Prime Minister, as well as the Minister for Mining, that given the third generation of mine in Misima, we must do it differently. Even though can make him awesome, all Misima mine will come and walk him. They were granted the ML, only mining up, time mining finish, only rip him up or get something. Building, or truck, or get something, all rouse him. They stripped the place up naked before they left. Now time we lose in place, or talk, leaving behind a better future. Leaving behind a better future. This must never ever happen again. It must never occur again. And must finish up. And today I'm grateful that our own company, Octane Mine, is back. And we come look it up again, mining Lomisima, third time. I'd like to partner with the government through Octane Mine, and let's do it differently. We as a district, we are prepared through our investment company and subsidiaries. Our district, we apply Kirapim, our investment company, Cubana. I'd like to put to task Cubana by Kirapim walk. Talk one time Octane Mine. Now you make him a Naplaka mine. A mine where people are Bahamas. A mine where government to Bahamas. Whether it be LLG, the district, provincial government, national government, you may go to Bahamas one time. It's about reaping our benefit from the mines and sharing it. Equitable distribution of wealth. Equal all get stakeholders. And making sure that when the mine leaves, it is a completely different scenario. And by Kirapim, people's lives, or picking by got good school, or family by got good health care, district by got good infrastructure, the province too, and benefit, and national government too, one kind, and benefit. It's about win-win for all. This country is for all people. This country is about sharing wealth equitably. And this country is about being about change and development and prosperity for all. So for me, I must that we can host him display mine, but I will take to task my district investment company as well as my district administration. We by work one time, Octane Mine through Misima Mineral Resources Limited, that we will start work right now to see change. Deputy Speaker, I would like to talk about that right now, on the ground, kisi mo kita land officers igo. Or go inside of this area of Lomi, find him out of state list. Mixi me come ananit, Lord DDA. Kisi me come. Ani inside DDA, we plug him state list, we plug by go, give him sub list, he go locked in. Now when we plug talking, Misima Mineral Resources Limited, you by Stopware. So that they can integrate mining development plan, Blongol, it goes inside district development plan. Going forward, working together. We may need to work one time. We may need to operate one time.
Honorable Member for Samarai Murua, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Your 10 minutes has lapsed.
Thank you. Lopinis, last point. I'm also thankful to government through its one plan NEC decision, giving recognition to Golo Woodlock as a tourism hub and a special projects. Now, Mr. Panilo, Minister Mining, we've taken to task Bixi Mogada, all lands officers from the province as well as the district, lands officer of Lomi. They did the fiscal plan. Now it's underway. List 2 by Kam, Lomipla. And then Mipla by using this list, Law Development, Tourism Hub, Law Woodlock, Law Gosopa. The point that I would like to stress here is that...
Honorable Member.
Okay, time up. Last one.
Honorable Member, resume your seat.
Thank you.
Honorable members, I interrupt the House that our grievance debate time has lapsed. The question is that the grievance debate be noted. Those in favor say aye. Aye. And those against say no. Ayes have it. Leader of Government Business.
Deputy Speaker, before I move this motion, I want to appreciate all leaders sitting through on Friday and appreciate all the discussions, and hopefully we can provide the same effort to our people next week when we come back. So, Deputy Speaker, I move that Parliament do now adjourn until Tuesday, 24th of March, 2026 at 10 o'clock a.m.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Honourable members, Honourable Member for Wawari, I resume your seat. Honourable members, I adjourn the Parliament until 24th March 2026 at 10 o'clock a.m.
Digicel TV, home of Rugby League. Dial *515# to subscribe.